Hi, and welcome to another AnyRPG tutorial. If you played the Features demo game or the Lost Soul demo game included with AnyRPG, then you have probably come across the scrolls and potions that are included. In this tutorial, I will be demonstrating how to create your own scrolls and potions and flasks using AnyRPG. I will be using AnyRPG version 0.14.2 alpha, which is available as a free download from anyrpg.org/downloads or from GitHub as a complete importable Unity project. In this tutorial, we'll be focusing on the following scriptable objects: animated action, action effect item, and power resource potion. Let's go ahead and get started. For this tutorial, I have already done some basic setup, so if you want to follow along, then all you need to do is go to Tools, AnyRPG Wizard, New Game Wizard, and just create a game using the default settings. And I have installed 3 pieces of template content for this tutorial using the template content wizard, and those are the all potion items template package, the warrior character class template package, and the vendor NPC template package. Once you have those installed, then you'll be basically looking at the same screen that I'm looking at now. So let's go ahead and get started with the action item, which will be reused for the potion and flask that we are going to create. Under the Games, Test Game, Resources, Test Game folder, we have the animated action folder. So find that folder, or if it doesn't exist, create it, and then go to Create AnyRPG Animated Action, and I will call this action Drink Red Potion. Now, it should be noted that we don't have to specifically create this, but because I'm going to be reusing the Drink Red Potion action for multiple different items, then it's easier to create this. If you're only going to be using an action for a single item, then it's probably quicker just to define the properties inline on that item, and I will show you how to do that later. I'm going to directly define the animation clip here as AnyRPG example standing drink 3-8 seconds, which is just an animation of the character chugging the potion, which you saw earlier in this video. I'm then going to define one holdable object, and that is the drinkable red potion, which was installed with the all potion items template. I'm going to click Use Universal Attachment and have it in the right hand. And universal attachment just means that it's going to look through the character's unit profile for an attachment point, or for the attachment profile, and then it'll look through that for something called the right hand and then find the correct bone on the character rather than looking through this prefab profile. And by using universal attachments, it just makes it compatible with any character, whereas if you define a bone on the prefab profile, then it's only compatible for one type of character. Now that we have the animated action created, we can go ahead and create our first potion. So to do that, I'm just going to go into the item folder, and I am going to create AnyRPG inventory items power resource potion, and this is going to be called a rage potion. Make sure to set the resource name to the same thing. I'm going to set the stack size on this to 5 and just set the item quality to common. Item quality is completely optional. It's not needed, but I just like it because it gives a more interesting background for the icon. I also want to set the icon, so I will type in potion, and then I'll use this potion red icon, and that's the icon that will be used in the character's inventory. I'm going to leave the item level as it is, and in this case I'm going to leave the currency blank. I'll just have this thing available for free from the vendor when I add it to them. Under the tooltip, you can leave that blank if you want. I'll just put drink me. And the cooldown on this rage potion, I'll just set it for 10 seconds, so you can only use a rage potion once every 10 seconds. For the action type, I will choose named. Now, if you didn't create one of those other scriptable objects, you can just define the action properties here and set this to inline. But because I did create a reusable one, I'm just going to set this to named and use the drink red potion animated action that I have created. For the resource amounts, we will have one resource amount. That resource is going to be rage, and I'm going to set the base amount to 100. So when our character drinks this potion, he will get 100 rage. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add the potion to a vendor collection. And when I installed the vendor NPC, I got the items vendor collection. And I'll add a single item to it, and that is going to be the rage potion. And I will set the quantity to unlimited so that we can purchase as many of these potions as we want. Next, I'm going to add the vendor to the scene. So I will go find the prefab folder, unit spawn node, interactable vendor, just pull that into the scene, and I'll set him at a Z value of 5, so he is 5 meters in front of the character. And then I will turn him around so that with the local tool handle rotation set, the Z-axis is pointing towards the default spawn location. Let's save the scene, and now I should be able to press play, and my character should be a warrior because that's the only character class that is available. And I should be able to go purchase one of these rage potions off of the vendor. And drink it and get some rage. Let's go up to the vendor. We've got our rage potion here. You can see that once I get more than 5 of them, then it's going to go over and create a new stack. And my rage resources up here, I've got 0 out of 100. If I drink the potion, the character does that action, holds the potion, and now you can see that my rage went all the way up to 100, but of course I'm out of combat, so it's quickly draining. So that's how to create a power resource potion. Let's go ahead and create a flask next, reusing that same animated action of drinking the red potion. To do that, I am going to use the other type of item, which is the action effect item, and I want to create a flask of stamina. So first we'll need to create an ability effect for it. So under ability effect, status effect, I am going to go to create AnyRPG, abilities, effects, and status effect. And I'm going to call this one massive stamina. I'll set the resource name to massive stamina, and I'm just going to set the icon to the same potion. So that this will show up in our character's status effect bar. And I want this one to have a limited duration of 1 hour. So the duration is in seconds here. So I want 60 seconds times 60 minutes, or 3,600 seconds, which is 1 hour. We'll have the maximum stacks set to 1, which means that this, we can't basically stack this to get multiple copies of the effect. And I will set the status effect alignment to beneficial, meaning that my character can cancel this if for whatever reason he wants to, as you can cancel beneficial effects, but you can't cancel harmful effects. Next, I want to give this a stat buff type name, and in this case, I want to buff stamina, and the stat amount should be 100. Now that I have my massive stamina effect, let's go ahead and create the actual flask. So back under items, I'm going to go create AnyRPG, inventory, items, and in this case I want the action effect item, and we will call this the massive stamina flask. I'll set the same title up here. I'll set the same icon again. Actually, maybe I'll use a slightly different icon. I'll just use this red potion right here to make it distinguishable in my inventory from those rage potions. I'll set the stack size once again to 5, and the item quality, why don't I set this to rare, just so that we have a different background on it. It's not really going to affect anything. It would affect the price, but we don't have a currency name, so it's still going to be free. Once again, maybe just set this tooltip to drink me, set the action type to named, set the action name to drink red potion, and set the status effect, or the effect name, to massive stamina. So what this means is that when we use this item, once again, we'll perform the drink red potion action, and then the effect that will be applied to the character is massive stamina. Finally, we will go back to the vendor collection, go to the items vendor collection, add a second item, and in this case, it is the massive stamina flask. Once again, unlimited quantity so that we can buy an unlimited amount of these. And let's go ahead and press play. Go buy one of these massive stamina flasks from the vendor. And you can see now, because this is the rare item quality, we've got a blue background. It's got a slightly different icon there. Pick up a couple of these massive stamina flasks. And then looking at our stamina, right now we have 10 stamina and we have 200 health. So I'm going to drink this massive stamina flask and it performs the same action. But now you see that I have a massive stamina status effect up here with a remaining duration of 59 minutes, increases stamina by 100. My stamina is now 110, so 10 base plus 100 from the effect, and you can see that I now have a lot of hit points and my health bar is slowly refilling because I went from about 200 hit points to about 1200 hit points. So that's how you can basically create a flask using the action effect item. And finally, let's go ahead and create a scroll using the action effect item. And this time I will use the inline properties. So first I am going to create another AnyRPG abilities, effects, and status effect. And I'm going to call this status effect sprint. And let's find an icon here. There. I'm going to use the ability run speed icon. And Once again, we can set the status effect to beneficial just in case you do want to go ahead and cancel this. And it will be a limited duration, this time of 10 seconds. Same with the maximum stacks is going to be 1. This time we'll add a secondary stat buff. The stat buff will be movement speed, and I'll set the multiplier to 2. And what that means is that whatever your current movement speed is, it's just going to double it. So you'll have double movement speed for 10 seconds. Next, let's go ahead and create the scroll of sprint. So under items, I'll go to create, AnyRPG, inventory, items, and once again, this is an action effect item. So we'll call it scroll of sprint. And you can see basically that for the action effect items, we can create a flask out of it or a scroll out of it. It basically just depends, whatever you want to name it. So once again, I'll put the scroll of sprint name up here. And for the icon, I'll use a scroll. In this case, why don't we use the cyan scroll? And under the tooltip, just put readme. And this time we'll use inline action properties. So once again, I will define an animation clip. Now, I've actually forgotten which animation clip I'm supposed to be using here, so I'm just going to look this up. Under the scroll of agility item template, it's the human male power up. So I'm just going to actually copy that, and then under my scroll of sprint, I'm just going to paste that. And under the holdable object list, I may not actually have the scroll here, so I will install one more piece of template content just so I can get the handle for that scroll. I will use the all scroll items template package, which is going to install the other scrolls, the stamina, agility, intellect, and strength scrolls. But now I should actually have a inscription scroll holdable object. And once again, I'll set that as a universal attachment and put it in my right hand. And for the effect name, I will choose sprint as the action effect. And finally, I will add this to the vendor in his items vendor collection. So we'll add a third item here, and I have the scroll of sprint. Let's save that and press play. We'll start a new game. And we can see that right now our character has a movement speed of 7 meters per second, and you can just sort of get an idea of how fast he's going to move here. Then I will buy a few copies of this scroll of sprint. I forgot to set a stack size, so you can see it's only stacking to 1. And because I didn't set any item quality on it, it's just got the standard black background. So now if I use this scroll of sprint, my character should hold up a scroll, and now I have sprint, movement speed is 14 meters per second, and my character is moving significantly faster. And as soon as the stat effect runs out, then my character is moving slowly again, back down to 7 meters per second. That concludes this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the AnyRPG YouTube channel, or leave a note in the comment with any future tutorials that you would like to see, and I will try to prioritize them. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.